love that when people meet me today and they'll be like, Ludare, you must have learned a lot from your dad. Your dad must have pushed you to be his own replacement when he's gone. And I laugh because I remember growing up, my dad never wanted me to even come near his stage. I had the opportunity of learning to play the guitar from an early age of about 9. But my dad would tell his band guys not to teach me. Then sometimes, when I try to join during the rehearsals, they'll be like, no, go and carry your book. Yeah? My dad wanted me to be a doctor. I wanted to be a lawyer. He also had a very good choice in me being an agriculturist. And then eventually, I built a career around marketing and advertising and marketing communications. But interestingly, music has always been something I loved. It's a passion for me, especially Juju music. And so it's always interesting. But I'm glad I made my dad proud, at least before he passed on. And I'm all about ensuring that his legacy in Juju music, does not go to waste. All his efforts, I really, really feel for him, all he went through in the hands of Shylock music promoters. On one side, it was lucky. Those early days, it was signed on TYC, African Rap Songs, owned by Chibola Bureau, the popular chief, also from our local government in Ebokia. But in terms of what that did to his career, the relationship really didn't work out well. My dad told me a lot of stories of how exploitative these label owners were and some of the deals that they packaged together. And he never really was interested in all of those. So the idea of them buying equipment, because he had seen the way, some other artists were treated. And so he really struggled. As far back as 1975, my dad registered and started his own record label, Adebo Records. So after the initial setback from the contract expiration with TYC, he also told me that Dr. Adeniyi Jones came to his rescue at some point. He recalled that he was meant to be like a stopgap. And King Sunny Ade also was meant to come on that Copab Records before he was slammed with a court injunction of not, and he was not able to record. So, and it was all struggled. And mind you, if you recall that these are people that didn't have as sound an educational background as having up to a degree, but their native intelligence, their sheer determination, their resourcefulness was all that they had. And of course, with a bit of professional advice from here and there coming, at different intervals. And that was all they were armed with. But they were able to do something meaningful with their lives and with their careers. So I think I owe my dad everything, especially with the benefits of the education that he has suffered to give me. So to put it back into that his trade, I'm very proud of my legacy. My dad was the popular Sabada exponent, Emperor Wale Olateju. And for as long as I live, I will do everything I can to make sure that his legacy does not go to waste. All his effort does not go to waste. And I think every good child owes their parents that we need to be able. And besides all of this, I also believe in the African culture, in the tradition. I believe in what we do. I'm a black man, I'm repentantly black. I am black, Dudunimi. And I believe that, it's from here to the world. We have something to offer the world. So there's no amount of westernization that's going to take back our identity, that's going to take back our music. Juju is our music. We have our music, we have our food, we have our culture. And no culture should be relegated for another. no language is inferior to another. If you speak your English, I will speak my Yoruba. I love my Yoruba dialect. I love my Yoruba language. I love to wear my Yoruba dress. There's nothing wrong. If I don't do it, who's going to do it? So for me, and so at some point, people joke and they'll be like, this guy is not serious. How can you leave your job at a multinational and then say you want to follow your passion? Yes, I think I've paid my dues. I built my career. At least I went to school and I made my dad happy about that. I don't know if the reverse would have been the case if he knew that, oh, I'll probably make a success of his legacy and doing everything I can to sustain his legacy. And he would have probably allowed me to get entrenched. But each time I talk about this, I have this very close friend, Commander Ebenezer Obe's son, Tolu, whom has been my friend from my uni days. He was studying for a diploma in computer science way back then in Abeokuta, and then during those strikes, we'll sit back, we'll compare notes, and I'll be like, you are lucky your dad is allowing you to play music, And he says to me to this day that he likes what Emperor has done. That if I had gone into music earlier than this, I'll probably not have gone to school. Well, that's debatable. I don't think so. But by and large, I think I'm a lot happier on the stage than when I was even working. I was privileged. I was lucky to have very good employment. At different times, I work with different brewery giants. I work with Guinness, Diageo, up from about 2002 to 2011. Then I went on to head the marketing department of Optimum Exposure. And then from there, I went back to the brewery, joined Consolidated Breweries, was part of the team that relaunched 3-3 Lager, changed the bottle, did some other fantastic work. I love those great companies. Then eventually ended up at Nigerian Breweries, where I was also privileged to work on some of the greatest beer brands we've had in this country. Worked on 3-3, worked on Feroz, worked on Gouda, worked as senior brand manager at Star. Did a bit of innovation as well. Reintroduced Climax. Did a label change work also on Star. Then ended it all as senior marketing manager, strategic programs, trade marketing units. So my guys will be like, why would you leave all of those? The pay was comfortable, the work condition was fantastic. But the truth of the matter is, following your passion and then also, being driven by the fact that, this is the legacy that, my dad tried, he started, it must not go to waste. So initially I started off by investing in a studio business, which is also still related to music. Then I tried to refloat the Adebo Records legacy. But ultimately, being on the stage is what gives me lots of joy. Once someone, like the Yorubas would say, nothing to worry, no worries. It's actually not about how much I want to make. Of course, it must add up. But the truth of the matter is, I'm more bothered about what I'm able to add to the body of knowledge as far as Juju music is concerned. Yorubas, we're all over the world, and our music, after our food, is what also brings us joy. Whether I find myself in Alaska or find myself in some obscure states of the American continent, Juju music is something that brings so much nostalgia about home, it makes life, you just keep going. You keep going, and So there's this popular Yoruba song, which each time I'm out of this country, and I remember at some point in my career in Guinness, I had to work in the UK, and this song comes to my mind. Ibi tí ṣe bá rí lómi agbọ́mọkùnrin dé. Dájú dájú, á dára á dára. Àìmásìkò ló ń dààmú ẹ̀dá o. So you can imagine yourself, 6,000 miles away from home, and you're thinking about home, and also trying to encourage yourself. Yeah, wow. I mean, those are the kind of things that pop music can give me. I'm sorry to say, I am saying this without any form of disrespect to the other genres of music. I mean, as African as we want to think that reggae music still does not talk about the panegyric. And what is the panegyric? That's my wiki. Every Yoruba man has got one. Me, I'm a Akoni. But if you want to trace my history, so anytime I see a musician, then address me as that, I'll be very happy. The Igbos will say that's your chi, that's your personal God. That's like evoking your spiritual essence. Your soulful being comes out. And that's why, people would not stop at anything to spray musicians that are able to tap into that. And those are the things that differentiates me from a Japanese, for example. So how do I recite the panegyric of an Igbo man? Tell an Ibadan man, Ogun kó wọn rí, ìran Ìbàdàn ṣẹrú ẹnì kọ̀ọ̀kan. Ogun kó wọn rí o, Balapa ṣọpá òdélé Olúbàdàn, Ìbàdàn fararọ. Níbàdàn o, ni wọ́n bí ẹ sí. Tell me now. And you've not been to Ibadan in ages, and you hear that in some nightclub in London, you will be happy. So we've got something that is God-given. Nature has, this is where we are. This is where we found ourselves. So let's make the most of it. Yeah. So, and again, if you ask me what inspired that piece of music I did, my first recorded work is called Juju. Ẹ bá mi hallelujah torí mo jẹ́ dúdú ni mí, mo dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ orí. Dúdú ni mí, mo gbà fún àwọn mi o. Africa, motherland, ilé nílé ń jẹ́, dúdú ni mí. Mo dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ orí. Mo gbà fún àwọn mi o. Nani, òǹra nílà nani. Torí ara ń bẹ tí dúdú máa dá. So all of those things are, they are nothing but, signposts showing that we can't be someone else. It can't be someone else. Every other person is taken. You be yourself as a black person. You've got to be proud of your heritage. Bad as it may, we've got leadership crises across the African continent. Most of the countries, you have all these kangaroo governments and all of that. Bad leadership. But at some point, you will see it's an evolution process. All of these things are going to be past histories, and then we will we'll appreciate that the African continent is there for a reason, and we have a role to play in the world. So that will be it from me to you. And I'm saying this with all love and